So you and your spouse want to lead your house as a unified couple. How do you go about doing that?
Ready, aim, shoot. Welcome to Arrows of Revival. God wants to use you as an arrow in His revival, and He's releasing arrows across the world for a world revival. Tune in as we discuss these arrows.
Greetings. This is Bishop Reid here with another episode of Arrows of Revival. And I know there are many of you out there that are Christian couples who are strengthening your marriage, who are putting in the work each day to grow in your marital bond with each other. And what I want to talk about today is one of the things that even the best couple can throw you off from your togetherness if you're not intentional about being unified together as a couple. What am I talking about here? When, for example, children enters the picture, how do you stay unified as a couple in leading your house and raising your children in a unified way with one voice? Oftentimes, husband and wife can end up disagreeing on how to discipline their children, disagreeing on what values to instill, disagreeing on different methods of raising the child. And how do you make sure that you come with one voice? Well, we've all heard of stories where you have a child and they go to the mother and the mother uh, tell them they can't do a certain thing or have a certain rule in place. And then when they take the same question to the father and the father allows them to do it, not known by the mother. And that child realizes in the home that there's not unity between father and mother and the rules that are set. And, kids take advantage of that and play with it, play games with it. So how do you ensure you're unified as a couple? What about when your teenage child, your teenage son, a teenage daughter do something that is not right? And as a couple, you may have different opinions on how they should be disciplined. One parent may want to be softer and the other parent may want to be more strict in their discipline, and it could cause some conflict between husband and wife, and not good for the household, not good for the children, because then they grow up not seeing that unity, and that can cause a lot of issues, not only in not only in them favoring one parent over the other, but also it doesn't instill in them the values of faith that you want because there's not agreement in the home. As I want to talk about today is how do you unite as a couple in raising your household? How do you unite the family in your house? It's not only with children, but anyone in your household that you're leading as a couple. You want to have the household be in unity. And how do you go about doing that? Having unity in your family, in your household is so important. Why? Because one, you want to lead your household towards serving God. You want to have a house that glorifies God. And when a couple is unified with the family in their home, what ends up happening is that there's a stronger likelihood of leading that family to God. But where there's division, there's confusion. Where there's confusion, God is not a part of that. And so if children or others in the house is seeing that the husband and wife are not united together in raising their children or or in uniting the home, if there's a lack of unity, if there's not one voice between the husband and wife, what ends up happening is confusion sets in, and that could lead to a whole lot of things. You don't want things taking place in your home that you do not agree with. You don't want things taking place in the home that is not godly, that does not glorify God. And where there's confusion, that definitely will happen. But let me come down to this. If there's not unity between husband and wife, if as a couple you're not unified in the home, that could create conflicts in your marriage. It could create arguments, and arguments that can come through really strong rifts and disagreements because there's not unity in how to lead that home. And I have seen couples where problems happen between the husband and wife because there's not an agreement on how, like a teenage son should be trained and a teenage son should be disciplined, or daughter. I've seen these issues where even though both husband and wife are Christians, they're both Christians, but there's a disagreement as to how to enforce those values in their home. And so what I want to talk about is, couples, how do you unite your household, unite your family in the faith? How do you unite your family in one voice together? How do you do that? And there's three things I want to point out to you today in doing that. One, you want to first of all create shared values. Shared values. What do I mean by that? Well, I know you and your spouse are both Christians. You can both be Christians, both love the Lord. But even though you both love the Lord, that doesn't necessarily mean you share the same values. Going to the same church and having the same beliefs does not always mean you'll share the same values, because you may have different priorities. You may live out your faith in different ways. One spouse may not apply the things of the faith as the other spouse does. And so this create disagreements. One spouse may not be as committed to living out the word of God as others. So you have to create shared values. What are the priorities that you have for you and your family? What what are the things that you live by? What do you put into action on a daily basis? What are those things that you value? What is important in your life? That's the question. What are your shared values? And my wife and I, we didn't write it down. I recommend you write it down. But when we first got married, and as we grew in our marriage and was seeking the Lord, we didn't write down what our shared values were, but we definitely talk about them. We talked about it a lot, over and over, because, we were seeking God. We were looking through the scriptures, and we were talking about our marriage, how to have a strong marriage. And so we talked about constantly what was important to us. And one of the things important to us was the spiritual life of the family. That was one of our values, the spiritual life of the family. We wanted to know that every person in the family had their own relationship with the Lord. And it began with us. We each personally committed to seeking the Lord, praying, getting to his word. Then we took time to talk with each other and pray with each other. And then when our children came along, we brought them into that same thing. And not only prayer, worship, but we sung with our kids. We sat around and we watched the programs, or the TV programs, cartoons, and kid programs with them. And as they got older, we shared with them why a particular show that they may enjoy watching, why it was good to watch, what were the good elements of it, and we shared the bad elements, of things that are not good. We helped them to have a filter of the things that we valued, even when they were watching different shows on TV. We had discussions with them when they came home from school surrounding the values that we believe. So because the spiritual life of our family was one of our values, we placed that in every part of our life and those of our children. And we were united together in that. But not only the spiritual life of our family, us having our finances well put together and strong was important to us. So it's something that we discussed, and we made decisions for the well-being, the financial well-being of our family because those are one of the values that we had. We also valued us being together in the ministry. And we, as a matter of fact, we had a vision of all our family being in the ministry. And so the decisions we made, the things we shared with each other, with our children, the way we prayed for them, and things we told them were along that line. We encouraged them, we spoke into them that they would serve the Lord. Another thing that was important to us, that our home be a place of hospitality. And so we began to set up our home in a way so that we could allow others to come and enjoy time with us, and so that we could give of ourselves to others in our home. So these are some of our values, and as we had some of these values, what we did was we agreed on certain things together for the well-being of our home. When it came to disciplining our children and training them, it surrounded the values that we had. And this was not just about going to church, although we went to church all the time, but this was about taking the things we believed in the scriptures, the things of our faith, and taking them into our own lives and the life of our family, that these are things that we value in our lives. For some of you, you may value kind of education that your children get. Your child's education may be something of high value to you. You may value quality time together. That was one of our values. We value spending time with each other. And so we made decisions and we did things so that we would have time to spend with each other. So you see, your faith may be the same. It doesn't mean that you value the same things. And I don't encourage you to speak with each other, husband and wife, speak with each other and write down the things that you value. Talk about them. Do you value quality time together? Do you value the spiritual life of your family? That should definitely be there, because your values should be based on your faith. Do you value education? You value having good finances? What are your values? Talk about them and have those things in place. Uh, do you value the way you treat each other, treating each other kindly, treating each other lovingly? What are the things that you value? You want to talk about it and how to implement those things in your home. So create shared values. That's one of the ways that you unite together as a couple in raising your family. Not only should you create shared values, but create a shared home culture. A shared home culture will develop out of your shared values. Now, what do I mean by a shared home culture? What are the traditions that you hold in your family? Are there any traditions that you hold? As a couple, you want to develop traditions that you have for your house. You don't want to have a household in such a way where you and your spouse and the children, they just do different things all the time. Just do their own things. The son, the daughter, just doing their own things all the time. Uh, Husband and wife doing their own things, and there's not a set of traditions that you hold together. You want to create a shared home culture by having traditions that you share together. It could be daily routines that you always do. Daily routines that you always do in the morning, in the evening, things that your children come to expect. Children are like that. If I have my granddaughter expects certain things from me. She she have gotten used to me doing certain things with her, and she looks forward to it, even though she's just a toddler. Because children, they will follow what they see. So if you have a household where there are traditions and routines in place that creates a home culture, what are the things that, if I came to your home, what are the things that I would hear? What are the sounds that are there? What are the music that are there? Those kind of things create a culture. Like if you come into my home, oftentimes you're going to hear gospel music playing or worship songs, Christian songs playing, because I want that sound to be in our home. Or, for example, on Sunday mornings, uh, we don't have the TV playing in our home because we want that morning to be committed to worshiping God. So we keep the TV off. We want it committed to glorifying God. Uh, and remove those types of distractions. So, what are the shared home culture that you have? What are the traditions you have? What do you do at Thanksgiving? What do you do at Christmas? What do you do on Sundays? Is going to church regularly a part of your home culture? When it's church time, is everybody still at home or do you all go to church together? What are your shared home culture? Before you leave the home, what do you do with each other? Now, I'm saying these things, you may think, oh, those things are just natural. But what happens is that we think of these things as natural, and when hard times come, when difficult times come, when disagreements develop in the home, when you're when you may have your child become a teenager and they don't like everything you do anymore, you'll know that those that having that shared home culture becomes so much more important because what you want to do is set a tone. It doesn't matter how we may feel with each other. It doesn't matter what disagreements we may have. It doesn't matter what conflict may arise. There are certain things we do in this home. There's certain things that we always do together. A shared home culture. Just like how right here in the United States, many people have political disagreements, but so many, no matter whether they're on the left or on the right, their political beliefs, they still would enjoy a football game together. They still will sit together at Thanksgiving and enjoy a meal, even though they may have different political beliefs. In other words, you want to have some regular activities, regular traditions, regular routines that are shared together. You want to know there are certain sounds, a certain expectation, a certain presence, a certain atmosphere in your home that everyone expects and look forward to. Think about, sometimes you have a grandmother, someone in the family that you look up to. And when you go to their home, you always expect the home to have a certain atmosphere. You always expect certain kind of food to be there. You always expect certain kind of sounds or music, and you always expect certain kind of traditions from them. And uh, relatives that may be different places would all come to that home and sharing that together, that shared home culture, even though you may have cousins, aunts, brothers, sisters, all kind of different relatives from different places and different kind of thinking. But when they come to that home, maybe it's a grandmother, maybe it's a grandfather, maybe it's a favorite uncle or aunt. When they come to that home, everybody is enjoying it because of the culture that's created there. You want to create that shared home culture between you and your spouse so you could raise your children, raise your house in that kind of way. So you want to create shared values, create a shared home culture. And third, you want to establish emotional stability in your home. If you're going to have one voice, raise your children, raise your family and your household to be unified in faith, then you want to establish emotional stability. And what do I mean? You don't want those in your household, parents, husband and wives, you don't want those in your household to feel unsafe every time there's an argument, every time there's a disagreement. If there's a disagreement, there's conflict, and it seems like, wow, mommy doesn't seem to love dad anymore. Dad doesn't seem to love mom anymore. Or the love for us don't seem to be there because there was a bad circumstance, there was a challenge, and all of a sudden, uh, the same kindness that you would show to your child is not there anymore. It's just rashness and anger. You don't want those in your household to experience that. You want emotional stability. What does that look like? It looks like when you and your spouse have a disagreement, even your children or other relatives that may be in your home, They could see that after that disagreement, you're still loving on each other. You're still showing each other affection, even though there's a disagreement. Wife, you're still doing what you should do to take care of your husband. Husbands, you're still showing honor and care to your wife. They should see love shown between you and your spouse, even though a disagreement may be there, even though there was an argument, they're still seeing love between each other. So what does that look like? It looks like when you discipline your teenage son or your teenage daughter, they still receive your love even during the discipline. You have them on the discipline, but they still experience your love. They still experience your care. Not because they did something you didn't like, all of a sudden, you no longer give them affection. All of a sudden, you no longer show them love. All of a sudden, you don't want to talk to them at all anymore. You're still showing emotional care, emotional affection, even though you may have them in discipline, even though they have done something you don't like, they still experience your love. That causes safety. That allows them to know whether I'm good, I'm going good or bad. I know at home I'm still going to be loved and cared for. You want to have that emotional stability. You don't want people in your home or your spouse to feel like if something goes wrong, you may not speak to them for 3 days. You don't want that. You don't want your husband, wives, you don't want your husband to feel like because he did something wrong, for 3 days, he's not going to hear anything from you. Or for 3 days, he's going to have to sleep somewhere else rather than in the bed. Husbands, you don't want your wife to feel neglected and don't feel your embrace for a whole week. You hardly come home because you guys had a disagreement. That creates instability, emotional instability, and allows your spouse to feel unsafe. Or with your children, with other relatives in the household. If they see those kind of patterns, they did something wrong, and mom, dad didn't talk to me for a whole week. Mom, dad didn't take care of me for a whole week. That causes fear. That causes uh, distrust. That causes a feeling of insecurity and a lack of safety. You want to give emotional stability in your home. This world is too crazy. This world is full of chaos that you want those in your household to come to a place where they have peace, that no matter what's going on, their home is like a rock where the emotional care, emotional affection is always in place. So, couples, how do you create a household that's unified? Unified in faith, unified toward a common goal of serving God and glorifying God? Start with these three things. Create shared values. Don't say, well, we believe the same things. No, make sure you know that you value the same things because of that faith. Create a shared home culture. What are the traditions and routines? What's the kind of atmosphere that's in your home that everybody loves to gather around? And three, establish emotional stability. Allow those in your home to feel safe no matter what may go wrong. If you start with those three things, you'll find that you begin to build a unified home. And if you want to know more about this, our third book in the Unbreakable Bonds series, Creating Unbreakable Bonds, A Faith Journey to Unite Your Family, really goes into this in a deep way and show you how to really put this into practice. And what I love about this book is that it's a story. You're going to be reading a story, and that story is going to illustrate how two families, one that's very mature, one that's not as mature, how two families work through the issues they were having and put the principles in place that united their home. And as you read it, it gives you the opportunity for you to get involved with questions and exercises, that you could get involved with the characters and work those same principles in your own life. So you got to get a copy of that and learn more about it. So God bless you. I pray for every couple that is listening, parents that are listening, that God will work in your heart to unite your family in the faith through shared values, a shared home culture, and establishing emotional stability. God bless you. If you have a question, send it to hello@revivalarrows.com. And if you're watching and you have not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you know when another powerful video comes out that you can learn from. God bless you, and see you again next time on the next episode of Arrows of Revival. Hey, to all married and engaged couples, especially if you're a Christian, I have a great resource for you. You may find that even though you're a good churchgoer, you're a committed Christian, still within your marriage, you see that there's a lack of intimacy and there seems to be growing conflict in your relationship with your spouse. How do you create unbreakable bonds in your marriage? And what I want to tell you is that there's actually 3 levels of marital intimacy that you have to take a hold of. And I have a great resource for you. This book, at least 2 books at first, right here. We have Creating Unbreakable Bonds, Marital Intimacy on 3 Levels. Again, that's Creating Unbreakable Bonds, Marital Intimacy on 3 Levels. And this book will show you how to create intimacy in your relationship, first starting at a spiritual level and emotionally. And then once as you have a spiritual and emotional bond, it overflows into fulfilling physical intimacy. This is when intimacy is at its best, when it's an overflow of your spiritual and emotional bond together. So you want to get a copy of this book, but I have even greater news for you. We have also released along with it a companion workbook called Cultivating Unbreakable Bonds. That's Cultivating Unbreakable Bonds, or marital workbook. And with this companion workbook, it's over 300 pages of activities, questions, great activities in this book that you and your spouse could use to build marital intimacy. So you want to get these 2 books, Creating Unbreakable Bonds and Cultivating Unbreakable Bonds. You want to get these 2 together because you'll make a great difference in your marital relationship. You want to discover the 3 levels of sacred intimacy in your marriage. You want to find out the secret to marital intimacy in Christ, and you can do that right here in this book. You want to be bonded not just on the physical level, not just sex, but also on the emotional level and on the spiritual level. You'll find that out in these books. But just to go a little further, you'll find that many times in a marital relationship, even in a good marriage, the dynamics of the family, how a couple relates to their children, their kids, how a couple deal with transitions in the family, disagreements that may occur, and just daily challenges of life can really impact that relationship. So we wrote a 3rd book, and this book is Creating Unbreakable Bonds, a faith journey to unite your family. A faith journey to unite your family. And this book tells you how, as a couple, you can unite together in raising your children, dealing with daily challenges of life, transitions, changes, loss that occur in every family. You want to get this copy because you learn how to take the same principles where you are joined together in oneness in your marriage and apply those similar biblical principles to uniting your family. I greatly recommend this book to you. As a matter of fact, this is actually a narrative. It's a story of a mentor and a mentee from 2 different countries. And one of the mentor, his name is Ahmad, he mentors Yakul, that's from South Africa, in his marriage and in his family. But then Ahmad, the mentor, ended up having problems of his own in his own family when he gets back home to the States. And he himself had to struggle through applying those principles. And you'll see how the characters in the story apply biblical principles to unite their family. and you'll discover how to apply those same principles in your life, in your family. So I highly recommend these 3 books: Creating Unbreakable Bonds, Marital Intimacy on 3 Levels, and Cultivating Unbreakable Bonds, or Marital Workbook, which is a study guide for deeper intimacy on 3 levels, and then Creating Unbreakable Bonds, a faith journey to unite your family. So I don't know what else to tell you. I know without a doubt it will make a difference in your marriage. And I'm not the only one that say that. Others have said the same thing. I have people saying it's an amazing read. Some say, wow, they love the part on physical intimacy or physical oneness. Those that have already participated in the tool of the emotional care evaluation, they said that has made such a difference in their marriage. They now see where they need to improve in their marriage and make things stronger. Some couples say, Brad, after doing the activity, it immediately made a change in their marriage. So I don't know what else to tell you. Go ahead and get your copy of Cultivating Unbreakable Bonds, the Marital Workbook. But go even further. Get the entire bundle at a special price right on harvestonline.com. The information is below. God bless you. God bless your marriage as you increase in your spiritual intimacy.
Thank you for listening to Arrows of Revival. To hear other episodes, go to revivalarrows.com. Again, our website is revivalarrows.com. To contact us, email hello@revivalarrows.com. Send us an email to hello@revivalarrows.com. And remember, let God shape you and polish you as an arrow for His revival.